Hey guys, this is just a little explanation on how you're going to complete these timed problems on Delta Math. So in all of these, you're going to be needing your unit circle. So hopefully you've either got that in a separate tab or you got it printed out version, even better. And again, you can pick one up in my room. I have extra copies if you want to. So we're going to be using our unit circle, and we're just going to be doing a timed version of some problems where we're going to be finding the exact value of angles, whether they be in degrees or in radians. So another thing that you're going to need to know is a little chart that we made the other day. And if you didn't write that out, I would write that out now. And that is, get the right color here. The sine of theta equals the y coordinate. The cosine of theta equals the x coordinate. The tan of theta equals sine over cosine, so that's y over x. We then have the inverse angles. The inverse of sine is cosecant. So cosecant of theta is 1 over y. Secant is the inverse of cosine, that's sec, and that's 1 over x. And then cotangent is the inverse of tangent, and that's x over y. So with this chart, you can solve any of these. We're just going to be given a degree or radian measurement, and we're going to choose either the x coordinate, the y coordinate, or 1 over the x or 1 over the y, and then simplify from there. So let's go ahead and get started. The first section, you're going to be looking at degree measurements. So what you're going to do is just hit start. You're actually going to have 300 seconds, so you'll have plenty of time, but you have to get 10 in a row correct. And you do have to do this till you get all correct. You can't just say you tried it for a little bit on this one. You need to actually get all 10 correct. So 150 degrees, the first one, cosine. You're just going to go to 150 degrees on your unit circle right here. Cosine is the x coordinate, so you're just going to type in negative radical 3 over 2. Or actually just select it. All right, cosine of 270, so you just look at unit circle. 370 degrees, the cosine is the x, so that is 0. Once you get the hang of this, you'll go pretty quick. Cosine of 0 degrees, so look at your unit circle. 0 degrees right here. The cosine of that is the x, so that's 1. Cosine of 315, you go to 315, the cosine is the x, radical 2 over 2. Sine of 45, we got 45 degrees. Sine is the y, so it's radical 2 over 2. If you miss one, let's say you select the wrong one, you gotta so you can see I'm at 5 out of 10. You got all the way up to 10 out of 10 before the 300 seconds runs out. You can stop it and restart it. That resets you. Okay, so you can't stop and restart it. You just got to get 10 in a row without stopping it in 300 seconds. So you got 5 minutes to get 10 in a row. I think there is also, I'm not sure if this has any of the, I thought it had secants, and I guess it doesn't. Maybe I'll throw some more secants in there too. All right, so these are just going to be sine, cosines, and tans. So again, you got to get 10 within the 300 seconds. I know it's doable. Just have your unit circle there. The next one is going to be in radians. The first section is just all going to be the main reference angles, meaning the first quadrant angles. So the cosine of pi over 6, you're just going to go to pi over 6, is right here. Cosine is the x, so it's radical 3 over 2. Oops, sorry. Next is cosine of pi over 6. We just did, right? Radical 3 over 2. So same thing. Tangent of pi over 3. So tangent can get a little dicey sometimes. Pi over 3, the tangent. So tangent is the y over the x. So we got radical 3 over 2 over 1/2. This is where you're going to need some paper and to write things out maybe. When you have a fraction divided by a fraction, you keep the top, you flip the bottom and multiply. So it becomes radical 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. In this case, the 2's actually cancel because they're diagonal. So we're left with just radical 3 over 1 or just radical 3. So that will be what you'll select. There is some, let's do this one, tangent of pi over 6. So right here is pi over 6. The tan is the y over the x, so it's 1/2 over the radical 3 over 2. This is probably like the hardest scenario, Because when you do this one, you'll get 1/2 times 2 over radical 3. The 2's cancel again. So you get 1 over radical 3. However, you cannot put in an answer with a radical in the bottom. So you have to rationalize this. That means multiply by radical 3 over radical 3. When you do that, well, 1 times radical 3 is radical 3. And radical 3 times radical 3 is just 3 because the square roots cancel. So your answer is going to be radical 3 over 3. Just continue this. And again, you've got to get 10 in a row under that 300 seconds. So that's very similar. And then the last one here is going to be some more radians, except you're going to have some secants and things like that. So this will be the hardest section. So secant of pi over 6, we're going to go to pi over 6. Secant is 1 over cosine, so it's 1 over x. So like the secant of pi over 6 will be 1 over radical 3 over 2. So then you keep the 1, times it by 2 over radical 3. And that just becomes really just 1 over 1. So it's 2 over radical 3. And then just like before, you can't have the radical in the denominator. So you multiply this by radical 3 over radical 3. And you get 2 radical 3 over 3 is your answer. So again, that's the secant of pi over 6. So those are going to be the most challenging ones. You still have to get 10 of those. Secant of pi over 4. Maybe we'll give you a little bit more time for that one. The secant of pi over 4 will be 1 over the x. So it's 1 over radical 2 over 2. This becomes 1 times 2 over radical 2. So that's just 2 over radical 2. But again, you have to multiply by radical 2 over radical 2. So you get 2 radical 2. And on the bottom, you just get 2. And then these 2's cancel. So you're left with radical 2. So that one, secant of pi over 4, is just radical 2. So these do get challenging. But take your time on them. Don't miss them because then you got to start back to 0. But you got to get 10 correct. Let's do one more. Secant of pi over 6. So secant of pi over 6. I think we actually already did that one. Yeah. It's 1 over radical 3 over 2. So we just end up flipping the bottom. It becomes 2 over radical 3. Then we multiply radical 3 over radical 3. And we get 2 radical 3 over 3. You'll get the hang of it. You'll be able to do it fast like that after a while. Cosecant of pi over 6. So cosecant is 1 over the sine. So that's 1 over y. Pi over 6. So 1 over the y would just be 1 over a half. That would end up just being 2. So again, once you get the hang of it, you'll start to cruise on. If you are really struggling still to reach out to me, but this is supposed to be kind of hard. It's supposed to help you to get really comfortable with using the unit circle and finding these quickly. So it might take you a little while. That's okay. You're just going to have to do it, practice it until you get fast at it. All right, good luck.